Let's give a rousing thank you to John Prince and the Drums of Freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, people in recovery, families, supporters, staff, welcome to the 2011 Rhode Island Rally for Recovery. Prevention works, treatment is effective, and recovery is possible. My name is Craig Stenning. I'm the director of the Rhode Island Department of Behavioral Health Care, Developmental Disabilities, and Hospitals. It's my pleasure once again to serve as your MC. For those of you who have been here before, you know that before the evening is over, we'll have a lot of fun. I'll look a little foolish. I'll probably lose my voice. But we promised you 78-degree weather. We promised you food. We promised you music. We've promised you speakers. We have promised you activities for children. And now it's your job to live up to our promise. You need to enjoy and have a good time. At this time, I'd like to have Jim Gillen. Where's Jim? I'd like to have Jim Gillen join me on the stage. I am. I'm sharing my pain here. As most of you know, this event is co-sponsored by the Department and the Rhode Island Recovery Committee. And it's really Jim Gillen who makes this all happen. This past week, Jim and I had the pleasure of going to Washington and receiving the National Award for the best 2010 recovery rally in the country. This is the award. This is the result of a lot of hard work by a long list of people. And near the end of the afternoon, we will list some of those people, and you'll see them up on stage. You need to be here for the finale. It's the highlight. But I wanted to take this opportunity to say we have something to live up to. We have to beat last year's rally. So we put Rhode Island on the map. Those of us that are lifelong residents of Rhode Island are used to people putting down Rhode Island and people being pessimists. But we do some things right, and we had the best rally in the country. We beat out New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, every other state in the country. So give yourselves a hand. Recovery 2010, now Recovery 2011. It's always amazing how important this weekend becomes as we celebrate our recovery rally. For the past 2 weeks, our state and its citizens have been recovering from the after effects of Hurricane Irene. And tomorrow, as you know, we remember the 10th anniversary of the tragic events of 9/11. Since that time, Rhode Island has deployed more soldiers than any other state in the country. 2 years ago, the Rhode Island National Guard joined us as a full partner in our recovery rally efforts. So as we dedicate ourselves today to the celebration of recovery, let us also remember those soldiers who have passed away in the past 10 years defending our country, and those soldiers who have returned and who are still dealing with some of the after effects, including a need to recover from substance abuse, PTSD, and other emotional issues. It's my extreme pleasure and honor to introduce the Rhode Island National Guard 861st Engine Battalion, with the national anthem being sung by Chief Warrant 5 Gary Carter, followed by remarks from the Brigadier General, Chief of Staff of the Rhode Island Air National Guard, and the Commander of the Rhode Island Joint Forces Headquarters, Brigadier General Mark Ginetto.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, in the home of the brave?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brigadier General Marcus Ginetto. On behalf of the men and women of the Rhode Island Army and Air National Guard, we are proud to be true partners with all of you in all these booths and all the agencies represented here in providing only the best behavioral and mental health care for the citizens of Rhode Island. September is Recovery Month, and one of the themes of Recovery Month is that recovery benefits everyone. Let me give you a very quick example of how that works. The members of the men and women who are members of the Rhode Island National Guard who have taken advantage of your services and who you have helped to become healthy again are currently deployed overseas. There are men and women in the Rhode Island National Guard who have walked through your doors that are deployed in other areas of the United States. And there are men and women of the Rhode Island Air and Army National Guard who have taken advantage of your services, who I'm sure you saw in your neighborhoods, directing traffic and helping out in the recovery efforts during Hurricane Irene. When we say this benefits everyone, we are talking about international benefits, national benefits throughout the United States, and local benefits in your neighborhood, not to mention the efforts of these guardsmen and their families as you've opened your doors to them. So on behalf of our General, Major General Kevin McBride, Commanding General, and the men and women of the Rhode Island Air and Army National Guard, we are extremely proud to be partners with all of you in this effort. And I'd like to wish you a great Rhode Island afternoon. Thank you very much. When we first started this rally, it began in the basement inside of a building. We moved it outside to a very small area, and then several years later we moved it downtown into the sunlight so that the entire citizens of the state of Rhode Island could benefit from seeing what recovery is all about. We then moved it to this wonderful national park in this incredible setting. And it's my pleasure to introduce at this point Park Ranger Sparkle Bryant, as we thank her for allowing us to have this wonderful site to hold our rally.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all today? Hopefully you're doing good or doing great. I'd like to welcome you to Roger Williams National Memorial. We have a nice little 4.5-acre oasis here in downtown Providence, and it's such a gorgeous day to have an event like this. So if you guys just come, enjoy, walk around, enjoy the food, learn a couple of things. We even have a visitor center over on the far side of the park where there's exhibits and things to learn about Roger Williams. Come on in and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you again for having the recovery event here again this year. It's a great event we like having here every year.
As I mentioned, when we moved this event to the city of Providence, it was a way for us to say to all of our citizens that we are proud of each and every one of you that have done the hard work to reach into years and years of recovery for many of you. It's always our pleasure, and we thank the mayor of our host city, Mayor Angel Tavares, for being here with us today and for his work, his continued work, to underscore the need to continue the momentum to build this great city, the city of Providence, into the spotlight. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, are you all enjoying the beautiful day today? Well, I am glad to hear it. And I got to tell you, from up here, you all look wonderful. Hi, honey. How are you? It is great to be here with you to welcome you to the great capital city of the state of Rhode Island, the city of Providence. And I'm particularly glad that we're here at the Roger Williams National Park. So I hope that everyone has an opportunity today to enjoy the day and enjoy each other. And I just want to take a moment to recognize Senator Whitehouse, who I know is here and is a big supporter. Senator, thank you for all you do in Washington and for your commitment to our state. And I want to recognize as well Catherine Power, who's here, and the Director of the National Center for Mental Health Services, A.T. Will, Director of Rhode Island Department of Corrections, former Senator Tom Coderre, who's here. And I want to recognize Jim Gillen as well for his invitation and his friendship. Thank you, Jim. I think it's very important that we remember and we celebrate today recovery and recognize that it's a process that continues. Recognize that it's a process that affects all of our families and affects our communities. And I want you to know that in the city we recognize our responsibility to work with you to make sure that we continue that process, to make sure that we have everyone having opportunities in our city. And I want you to know that as long as I'm mayor, I will do all I can to work with you, to help in the process, and to help all of the families that are affected by recovery and by addiction as well. So I'm glad to be here with you. I want everyone to enjoy themselves today and know that I know we have a lot of work to do and look forward to doing it with you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, this is the first year that we are a co-sponsor of Waterfire at the end of this rally. So another reason to thank the mayor as well. I was in Washington, as I mentioned before, I was in Washington this week, and several of the federal representatives that were there, as always, mentioned that even though Rhode Island is small, we have one of the most active, one of the best congressional delegations of any state in the country. And for many years, we have always had tremendous representation on the issues of behavioral health care, developmental disabilities, social problems in general. We've had a congressional delegation that has fought to maintain Medicaid and Medicare. And it's my distinct pleasure to introduce a gentleman who, in his early stages of his career as a U.S. Senator, has made a name for himself at the national level in fighting for health care and the continuation of Medicaid. So it's my extreme honor and pleasure to introduce the United States Senator from the state of Rhode Island, Sheldon Whitehouse.
Thank you, Craig, and what a great afternoon to be here out today with Rhode Island's recovery community. I want to thank you for everything that you are doing. You are out there saving and changing lives one at a time, one person at a time, one day at a time, and you are making a real difference. I want you to know that that difference is being heard in Washington, D.C. This rally has just won a national award for the best rally in the country. Jim Gillum was just down in Washington to receive that award. Judge LaFazia of our local Rhode Island court was just down at a hearing that I held in the United States Judiciary Committee about treatment courts and the leadership of Rhode Island on our drug court and on our new emerging veterans court was made a national spectacle. It is really exciting to see how your great work here in Rhode Island is being amplified through Washington around the country. You can be so proud of what you do. I know the most important thing about recovery is what it means in your own life and what it means in the lives of your loved ones. But it's also important to be able to spread the message of recovery beyond that into a broader circle so that the political world becomes aware of it, so that the veterans community becomes aware of it, so the law enforcement community becomes aware of it, mental health community becomes more aware of it, that we all reach and work on this problem together. So it is great to be with you. It is exciting to see this wonderful park turned into a recovery town square. It is nice to see the leaders of the Rhode Island recovery community here, and it's a great honor for me to have the chance to take this time to salute and appreciate what you are doing. So God bless you and carry on, and thank you. Have a great afternoon.
So folks, as I said, we need to top last year's rally. So we need to remember how many firsts. This is the first time in the 8 years we've been doing this that we had a sitting U.S. Senator attend this rally. So thank you very much, Senator Whitehouse, for recognizing the hard work that each of the individuals here does each and every day to maintain their recovery. We have another first. So keep track of these folks. This event is the kickoff of Recovery Month in Rhode Island, as you know. This coming week, we will actually have 3 additional recovery rallies for the first time ever within the walls of the ACI. We have a director of the Department of Corrections who believes in recovery, who believes in reentry. He knows that individuals deserve a second chance. He knows that individuals eventually will be going back out into the community, and we need to do everything we can to support them and to support their recovery. As a member of the cabinet, A.T. Wall is one of my closest colleagues and closest friends. He is currently the longest serving corrections director in the country. I can tell you that members of cabinets don't usually last very long. So it's to his credit. He has been serving as the director of the Rhode Island Department of Corrections, first as the interim director in 1999 and as director since 2000. So it's his anniversary as well. It's my pleasure to introduce my good friend, the director of the Department of Corrections, if he can stop talking, A.T. Wall.
Craig, thank you very much for that kind and generous introduction. And I will say right back at you, Craig, this is a guy who cares deeply on personal as well as professional levels about recovery. And he is somebody that I am proud to consider not only a colleague, but a close friend, and I admire him tremendously, as I'm sure you do as well. And it's an honor. It's an honor for me as the corrections director to be invited here today. The fact of the matter is that with 70% of our offender population diagnosed as addicted to either drugs or alcohol or both, and with 1 in every 6 of our offenders suffering from serious Axis 1 mental illness on any given day, this is a place where my department belongs. And the fact of the matter is that while we do have programs, we depend tremendously on the kind of support that we get from Craig's department, the community advocates and providers here. The people that are in our system are there for these reasons, are not there because of the criminal mind, they're there because of disease. And it needs to be recognized that this is a health problem and that people recover from diseases and people recover from these. Craig mentioned that we're going to be holding some recovery rallies behind the walls, and that's a first. Wouldn't have happened without the support of all of you here. I mention it because I hope that as this week rolls along, you'll take some time and you'll remember those that are in solidarity with you, who happen to be on the other side of the walls and fences at the ACI, but who will be celebrating your recovery and theirs every bit as much as if they could be here today. Thank you very much for remembering us, including us, and holding us close. The best to all of you, and congratulations on recovery.
Before I introduce our next speaker, and there's some real personal reasons why it's special for me, I would like to read a little bit from a proclamation that we received. I won't read the whole thing, but I would like to read a couple of sections of it. It says, recovering from addiction to alcohol and other drugs takes strength, faith, and commitment. Men and women in recovery showcase the power each of us holds to transform ourselves, our families, and our communities. As people share their stories and celebrate the power of recovery, they also help dispel the myths and stigmas surrounding substance abuse and mental illness, and offer hopes of lifestyle changes and change and hope for recovery. This month and throughout the year, we must promote recovery and support the growth of healthy, resilient individuals and families in the United States. As a nation, we must strive to promote second chances and recognize each individual's ability to overcome adversity. Now, therefore, I, Barack Obama, President of the United States, by virtue of the authority invested in me by the Constitution, do hereby proclaim September 2011 as National Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Recovery Month in our country. And I can add that Governor Chafee has also issued a similar proclamation for here in the state of Rhode Island. Last year, if you remember, we were honored to have with us the director of the White House Office of Drug Control Policy, otherwise known as the Drug Czar. This year, we are again blessed and honored to have a special visitor from Washington. But this time it has some local significance and some personal significance as well for me. As many of you know, I began with the state in January of 2000. And it was a woman who was heading up the then Department of MHRH that convinced me that this was a good move. And she gave me the opportunity to serve as the first Director of Behavioral Health in the state of Rhode Island. Little did I know that she would leave a few years later. And then unfortunately that great job that I had a lot of fun at, would turn into the job that she now was giving up. A. Catherine Power was the director in Rhode Island, and at one time was the longest serving director and commissioner of mental health in the country. She has now made us all proud here in Rhode Island, little old Rhode Island, to become the director of the Center for Mental Health Services. And this year, for the first time at the national level, National Recovery Month is being celebrated to include both substance abuse and mental health. Now, I'm not sure what took them so long, because we began that here in Rhode Island when Catherine was the director some 8 years ago. But it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce my dear friend and mentor, the director for the Center for Mental Health Services, A. Catherine Power.
Thank you very much, Craig. It is a pleasure for me to be back in Rhode Island. As many of you know, I work just outside Washington, D.C. in the Department of Health and Human Services, but my heart and my home are here in Rhode Island, which remains forever in the forefront of the national dialogue on behavioral health care. You are all to be congratulated, because Rhode Island has deliberately, emphatically, and carefully moved the policy and programmatic debate in behavioral health to the next level. You were the first state to expand the focus of National Recovery Month to include every individual with mental health conditions, with substance abuse conditions, and with developmental disability conditions. The system for health care in Rhode Island for individuals with these conditions is firmly rooted in a very large sense of community. That community is defined by a close, ethnically rich, naturally supportive, and nurturing environment. So it is only fitting today that we come together in community to send the message loud and clear that people recover. You have helped us get the word out. In recognition of your efforts, Senator Whitehouse noted and Director Stenning noted, you won SAMHSA's Recovery Month Award event last year. And I hope that this year's event will be